Father's Day tomorrow, man?
Yeah, Father's Day ain't really been the same since my father passed away a couple of years ago and all that.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I really didn't know that, bro. Damn.
Yeah, man. But
Mhm.
I'm just, just out here making things happen. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's all you really can do and all that. Just getting out of a pandemic.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me
But
see.
I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Got it. All right. So yeah. So basically, you could introduce yourself. I know you've been doing the music. You've been doing the music for a while now. Like I said, I've been checking out your page,
Exactly.
and every
Thank
time
you.
I see you're always doing something. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You're always doing something productive. You're always doing something positive. And the most important thing is you're sharing and you're giving out information that we take for granted because there's a lot of broke artists out there that's not really making money. So
Nope.
can you please introduce yourself? How long you been in the business? Pretty much.
Okay. Well, my name is Derrick Chambers, and I'm a manager, an agent, and artist consultant for Urban
Mm-hmm.
Threshold PR. And I've been in the business basically since I say like 2005, 2006. We
Got
used
it,
to
got it.
used to have showcases that we used to throw at these different locations,
Mm-hmm.
and basically we sponsored by the labels and stuff like that. And the A&Rs and labels were there, and we let artists perform, and that's how I got in the business. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So
Yeah,
basically you've been doing this business for pretty much quite a long time now, I noticed. Like so.
yeah.
Wow, that's definitely impressive. Now, as a manager, consultant, and working with these labels, from your experience, what are these labels looking for? Like, for example, Rock Nation, Atlantic, like, what are they pretty much looking for?
Well, being artists really don't do a lot of artist development now. Back in the days, what you see cats like De La Soul, so on and so forth. They're looking to sign artists who already have a movement and a proven fan base and all.
That's
You know what
big.
I'm saying?
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
because when labels sign artists, they want a return on their investment. You know what I'm saying? They're not just trying to sign an artist that's not going to make money. Like you see artists on the major labels like a JC, um, a Rihanna, Beyonce. These artists are top sellers. You know what I'm saying? They go on platinum, triple platinum every time they come out. Trey Songz, Usher, all these major artists. Even like Jada Kiss did 1 billion streams a couple of months ago. Those are real fans, man. And I just try to tell artists that up and coming artists, all the fans is gonna like your music. It's not gonna be people that you know. It's gonna be people all over the world that have a emotional attachment to you through your music. You know what I'm saying? So artists need to understand that they caught up in just promoting on Facebook.
Okay, so let's tap to that now. You're saying that artists should promote in different social media platforms. So break it down as far as like past Facebook. What's next for that for artists that's coming out?
Major blogs, they need to get featured on the same blogs the major artists are featured on. I tell artists that if their goal is to be signed to a major label, any major label A&R will tell you, first you have to develop a strong digital buzz first by getting your music featured in the same top blog the major artists are featured on. Like when you go on Facebook, all the artists that's dropping new material, they're on these major blogs. And the reason why you see the major blogs on Facebook, because these blog sites and websites know that Facebook has billions of users. So every time you be on Facebook, you see these artists like DMX passed away. You've seen Swiss Beats, DMX, Ellen DeGeneres, whoever somebody, they're on these major blogs. So they know that's the way to get national exposure and recognition for your music and your brand and your image and whoever you are and what you're doing.
All right, let's talk about the blogs because it seems like the blog is very important now.
Right.
With the music blogs, how does it work and what is a blog? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't understand what are blogs. What is a blog?
A blog is basically, it could be like The Source. The Source was a magazine, right? Now we living in a digital age. So people be on these different websites, music websites, to find out who what artist is in the business and what they're doing, what singles they're dropping. So a blog is basically a website, a music industry website. There's different websites. It's like The Source. It's All Hip Hop. It's Pitchfork. It's Billboard. All these major blog websites. So that's what a blog is.
All right. So for a first-time artist that's pretty much trying to enter the blog, how does that work? Like, what do they send to these blogs? Is it just like like how does it work? Like,
well, basically, you know, these blogs, now artists is already in the business. They probably get free promotion, but up and coming artists, you have to normally pay somebody to connect you and all. You know what I'm saying? To get you on these major blogs, like a publicist or a marketing company, like the company I work for, because we have these connections to these numerous media outlets.
Now, let's go back. Let's stay with blogs. So, upcoming artist is out. Does it matter the type of music they do, or they have to do a type of genre of music to be in these blogs?
Well, what really matters is the talent and what they're talking about and the content, what they're bringing to the table, and originality, and do they sound like nobody that's out here, you know? So people buy music that they like. So the type of music that artists, up and coming artists, are putting out has to be able to compete what's already on the radio, man. You know, it's like artists that me and you listen to. We like what we like and all. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it is. So we don't discriminate as far as the content and the artists that we deal with, but it just has to be some talent. It could be hip hop, reggae, R&B, pop. It could be gospel, whatever. But it just has to sound good. That's all. And
that has to sound good. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, how much does it cost to get on these blogs? That's the $1 million question now.
Well, you know, some of our packages is anywhere between, you know, $650 to $1,500, but we have other packages that are easy in between $125, $160 basic packages, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that on a monthly basis, or is it just weekly? Like, how does it work?
Well, normally these different marketing campaigns last around a month.
A month? Wow, that's not bad. Now, how many viewers does that guarantee the artist now? Like how does, because think about it. I use artist B for an example. He wants to get on the blog. All right.
Artist what? I didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm just using an example. Artist B. Just an example.
Okay, right.
Or artist John Doe. He wants to get on the blog, right? How many viewers, or how would it work with the artist's visibility on these blogs? Like, does it guarantee visibility, or it's just like more of a hit and miss type thing? How does that work?
No, it guarantees visibility because most of these blogs have millions of viewers, period.
Right.
Millions of viewers.
Got it. All right, cool. Now, shout out to Randolph Francis, who's another consultant. I worked with him a couple of times, and good brother, man. Good brother. Good information. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. Now let's get to the point. Now, I'm a new artist. I'm speaking. I don't know nothing about the business. I'm just trying to get put on. I'm trying to develop a buzz, right? What's the first thing I should do?
First thing an artist needs to do is copyright their music.
Okay, how does
with
that
the
work?
Library of Congress.
Okay.
And you could go on the website and you can use the appropriate forms, because when you copyright your music, the Library of Congress, that's how you're being a professional to show proof of ownership.
Okay. All right. What's the next step after that?
Then you have to make sure your music is registered with ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, which are the public rights organizations that pay you your royalties.
Okay. Sounds good. What's next after that?
Then you have to generate a buzz, because after you did all that, you still have to let the world know who you are and, you know, basically what your music represents and what you bring it to the table through your music. Because, you know, music is a universal language, and that's your emotional attachment to your fans all over the country. Because when they hear your music, it makes them feel some kind of way, you know what I'm saying?
Got it. All right. So basically, you're saying it's emotional attachment. Okay, cool. Now, what's the team that I gotta have as an artist, like, or producer? What's the team that I need around me that's gonna make sure that I'm doing what I gotta do.
Okay, you need a well-connected person that knows the business. So sometimes you might need a manager, you need a entertainment lawyer, you need of course, you need a producer.
Mm-hmm.
You might need a booking agent, a publicist, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's the main people in your team.
So briefly describe each um, um, person in your team and how much they get paid from the artist.
Okay, say that again.
No, I said briefly describe each position and duty of each uh, team member from an artist and describe how much they get paid each one,
So
percentage wise.
a producer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, producers, how they get paid, is it's a 50-50 split, the publishing process between the songwriter and the producer. So that's how they get paid.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'll just break down into the publishing process. It works like this. If the songwriter writes a song, the copyright ownership is automatic. So you write the song, you make the song publicly available, the copyright ownership is automatic. And you become the music publisher automatically. And the song is divided into equal portions of share. The songwriter's share is 50%, and the producer's share is 50%. But if you're the producer and the songwriter, you make all the money. It's 100% split. You know what I'm saying? So that's how, once you do split sheets, that guarantees that, you make money off your publishing because everything is in writing. Understand?
Okay, let's stick to the topic of split sheets. Explain that because a lot of people want to know about what are split sheets? Like, what is that?
Okay. So, I'm going to just break that down right quick. Just bear with me.
No problem. Take your time. Because you're giving a lot of powerful information. And it's like...
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
A lot of people need to know.
Okay. I'm going to just go into that right quick. See, a lot of artists, they don't understand it's a business, man. Mm-hmm. They want that deal. They want the fame and the fortune. They want the women, the money, the cars, all of that. But, everything is not what it seems. It's a business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right.
So they don't know what comes with that. Now, what happened is, I'm going to break that down if I can have some time. Now, this is the important of split sheets. Split sheets are very important for all creators that collaborate with others, and it can mean the difference between getting paid and not seeing a dime. So a split sheet is a simple document that lays out who owns what part of a particular song, and it has the following. It has the song title, the date the song was written, the names, publishers, and performance rights organizations are all writers. So once you're registered with ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, they know to pay you basically for your music being put out there because you're the copyright owner and you're the publisher or you're the producer or what have you. They know to pay you your royalties. Just like a job would know when you work for them, they're paying you your paycheck. So it's a business, man. So you see people like DJ Khaled, Swiss Beats, they know how to make their money. This is why you see these dudes as millionaires and all. They know it's a 50-50 split between the songwriter and the producer. And they sign to these major labels under publishing deals, they're getting their money in all. You know what I'm saying? Trust me. Plus, depending on who they are, they might get anywhere between 50,000 to 150,000 or more just for a beat because these are hot producers and stuff like that. Now, it says standard practice. So once again, it's the song title, the date the song was written, the names, publishers, and public rights organizations are all writing, the split percentages. So that's who wrote what part of the song or what. It's a 50-50 split, it's a 50-20-25 split, or you're the full writer and the songwriter. So I'm going to break this down. This is real important. So it says split percentages and signatures. It's just like when you get a check, okay, if your name is not on the back of that check and it's endorsed, the bank is not going to let you cash the check because it wasn't endorsed. So this is proof that you wrote the song, that you produced the song, okay? It's a split sheet. And that's when you see cats like Lil Wayne and stuff like that, and Drake collaborate with different artists, and Drake might do the hook or what have you, or it could be a rapper that collaborates with an R&B artist. They know who wrote what part of the song and what have you and all. This is how they make their money. It's in their contract. They get paid off royalties and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because they're professionals, okay? So let me just break this down. So it says standard practice is to split the percentages equally amongst the writers. For example, if there are 2 writers, the splits are 50-50. You can also break it down by lyric and melody. For example, if writer A wrote the music and writers B and C wrote the lyrics, writer A should receive 50% and writers B and C will each receive 25%. Now, the importance of split sheets comes into play when a song is placed. If you have this split sheet signed and dated by all co-writers, you have proof of ownership, who wrote that song, who produced that song. Now, several scenarios could occur without this backup, including the following. Someone can claim more than their fair share and put the song into dispute. So you see artists have to go to court to prove who wrote the song. This is what happens because they didn't do no split sheets. You know what I'm saying? So it says when a song is in dispute, no one gets paid. So this is going to stop your money.
That's crazy. I didn't know about that. That's big.
Okay.
Wow.
Right. So someone could claim more than their fair share and put the song into dispute. And when a song is in dispute, no one gets paid until it's resolved by a judge or in a court of law. It says, then you can miss the chance of a song placement because a writer couldn't be found and the song could get placed and someone could erase you from the credits. So when you see artists get ripped off and stuff like that, this is what happened. They erase you from the credits because maybe you was caught up in the hype, signing with the label. It was cash money. It was whoever it was. And this is what happens. You know what I'm saying? So it says the song could be placed and someone could erase you from the credits. So no credit equals no royalties. No proof, no royalties. So if your music's not copyrighted, same thing. You're not making no money. There's no proof of ownership. It's a business, man. You got to do smart business. That's why you see cats like Michael Jackson. When he was alive, he owned a lot of publishing. The Beatles, Eminem, he owned all that publishing. You know, and the record labels, they own artist publishing too nowadays because you're letting the artist put out the music through your major label, so you have to get a percentage of the publishing. It's only right.
Definitely makes sense. Wow. So let's talk about Michael Jackson owning the Beatles publishing and I think Eminem. Explain that more, because that's very interesting. And how would that work?
Okay. Let me just see. Okay, ask that question again.
No, what I was saying is that explain more in detail how was it that Michael Jackson owned the Beatles publishing and also Eminem. I heard that Eminem, he dissed Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson didn't do nothing. He just stayed quiet. He just stayed quiet.
Right, because he know he gets paid every time he makes a song.
Yeah,
so the publishing is the right to these artists' music. Once you buy their catalog, then you own their publishing. That's how it works. So Michael Jackson had brought the Beatles publishing, you know? So when he owns all these artists publishing, every time their song is played or used in a movie, a soundtrack, on the radio, he gets the money and all because he owns their publishing. Just like, not to say nothing, okay, rest in peace to DMX and Pop Smoke and all these artists that died, but the record label owns the publishing and all because they, unfortunately, when these artists die, they making even more money once they're dead. Like Tupac's mother, she made $2 million a year just off Tupac's publishing since 1996. Okay, until she died a couple of years ago. The royalties is left to the next of kin. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
So that's how publishing works and all. But see, once you know, and you own the rights and stuff like that, you'll have leverage because nowadays a lot of artists, they're owning the masters. You know what I'm saying? Nipsey Hussle and all these people like that, they own their own masters. They own their own music. They buy it from the company and they can do what they want to do with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the importance. That's what when he said Michael Jackson owned people's publishing. He owned the catalog of the music from these different artists. Okay.
Wow. Good information, brother. Good information. So let's get something we understand. So basically, when it comes down to publishing, you can make a living off of publishing, correct?
Exactly, for the rest of your life.
The rest of your life. So it just takes that one hit or what? Explain that more into detail.
Say that again. Ask your question again. Let me just try to understand it.
No, what I was saying is that with publishing, you can live off of publishing if the business is done correctly, right?
Yes.
So how would it work with the publishing? I would say dealing with an artist. Like how would he explain that to another artist? Because sometimes artists, they don't understand nothing about publishing. I know there's different types of publishing.
Right.
They have like, can you elaborate more on that? The different types of publishing that the artists can receive?
Well, let's say Quincy Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quincy Jones, I didn't even know that till like maybe over the summer. He owns the his licensing, right? So when your song is used in a sitcom or a movie, you get publishing for life. So he wrote the theme for Sanford and Son. So ever since Sanford and Son came out in the 1970s, he been eating off of that alone. So let's say like Thriller, he produced that for Michael Jackson. What was the other one he came out with?
You said Sanford and Son, you said Thriller. Or Beat It, Off the Wall.
All of that, Off the Wall. The first couple of albums he produced for Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. So he was the producer and he was the composer, and he basically wrote all that music and stuff like that. So every time that's played on the radio, he makes money off that for life. So that's how artist or producer can eat off a song for life for 20, 30 years or 70 years or whatever. You see cats like Gamble and Huff, they wrote a lot of music for Motown, and they're still eating off that to this day because they're the songwriter. Okay, they wrote those songs. Mm-hmm. So when it's played on the radio, they make money. Okay, when it's used in a movie or soundtrack, you make money for life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you are the publisher. You are the one who wrote the song, and a lot of times they produce the song. So that's how you eat off a song for life and all.
Wow, sounds good. So how does the registration work with ASCAP and BMI? How does it work? Like, let's break that down. So people, they ask me questions like, how does that work? Like, artists does a song with like 3 other people. They say they know about the split sheets, but how does it work with the publishing, and how does that work out with the performance rights organizations?
Well, the 3 performance rights organizations are ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. So you have to make sure that your music is registered with them. You call them and you make sure your stuff is registered with them so you can receive your royalties off these different time that your music is used and streaming, what have you. They know to pay you the money. Basically, that's how it works.
Got it. All right. So again, what's the difference between all 3 of them?
Well, CSAC, basically, you can only get into CSAC once you're referred by somebody that's already in the business. Now, BMI and ASCAP, anybody just can register their music with them. So that's the difference between ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC.
What's the fees? Is there any fees that anybody got to pay?
The fees vary. You would have to just call and find out what the fees are. It all depends.
Yeah. All right. Let's get a little bit more specific now with stuff. Now, artist John Doe comes out. Is it best that he comes out with an album or a single?
It's best that you come out with a single first.
Okay. Why?
And because when you first up and coming, you still have to build hype and anticipation and build a fan base and a movement for your music and stuff like that. So what artists don't understand, nobody's going to go and buy an album they didn't know exists and never heard before. Understand? Just say like DMX. Rest in peace to DMX. He passed away. He already had fans.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't even know that brother struggled to after he died, that he really struggled with drugs like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, he had got on drugs when he was 14 and all that stuff. And that he was just all the stuff he was rapping about, I'm slipping, I'm falling, and then I can't get up. It was coming from the heart and all that. And that's how he expressed himself through the music and all the pain he was going through his whole life. Understand? So people already had fans. I mean, I thought he was going to pull through. You know what I'm saying? And now in his absence, people feel an emotional attachment to him through his music. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even when he was alive, you was rooting for him. Like, oh yeah, I love DMX. But now he's made it 1,000% return even in his death. He got new music out, new album with all these artists that's in the business, like Nas, JC, and all these different artists. And all his music, people downloaded 1,000% in his death, in his absence.
Who gets that money though?
Well, the label gets the money and his family gets the money too, because they're the next of kin. They get the royalties. Just like when Prince died and they was fighting over his estate and it was ruled in a court of law, but I guess he didn't write a will, but
yeah,
it went,
write a will.
Yeah, a lot of artists don't write wills and stuff like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it went to his sister, Prince's sister, and his brother. And just like, Tupac had that set up. That's why you could do the research. She made $2 million every year before she died herself. That's off Tupac's publishing.
Got it. So let's talk more about dealing with artists. No, let's talk about the relationship the power that a manager could have with an artist. Because managers could make or break you as well based on their connections.
Yeah.
What should an artist look for when dealing with managers, like trying to find managers?
Well, I think in terms of finding a manager, you need to check their credentials and who they are, and what they've done and what artists and who is the artist that they discover and the producers they discover and who they help.
Mm-hmm. So what are their fees? Like, how much should they get paid from you? Like, how would that work?
Well, basically, a manager just is going to put you in position to start generating revenue and all. They're going to advise you of the necessary moves you need to make to be successful in the music industry. That's what a real manager is going to do, Just for example, let's say like Fat Joe. Fat Joe was on, then they signed to Fat Joe's management group, Remy Martin, Terror Squad,
Tony Sunshine,
Cuban Link, Big Pun, and all that. They were signed to his management company. So he already had the deal, but through his company, he had a management deal too. That he was going to put them out and basically put them on because his connections and stuff like that. That's what, a lot of managers in the business is well connected. So what was you about to say?
I did a lot of research on that topic, bro. And this is what I researched from what I heard, that Fat Joe kind of like literally, I'm not saying, I don't know if this is true or not. This is all speculation. I don't know. I don't know the guy like that. But I heard that he robbed Pun, the Terror Squad, all these artists. What do you feel about that?
Well, I don't really know the story because he's saying that, you always hear all type of stuff, but if a person signs a contract and they sign the way they publishing or what have you, it's in writing. Situations like this, you didn't make sure your publishing was good. So when you were making all this money and millions of dollars, what Fat Joe was saying that basically Big Pun ran through the money. Okay. Now, and then his wife came to him and she cut him a check. He cut her a check for like $2 million or something like that. And then, and basically how he's making it seem, she was coming back and said, okay, I ain't got no more money for you, basically. Then he wrote her another check of another amount and basically said, there's nothing else I could do for you. You're not going to be eating on me for eating, or me for the rest of your life,
Let's stay on that because That's
That's
real.
that's what I heard, but
mm-hmm.
I don't know because it's different stories. Now, Cuban
Yeah.
Link is saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he ripped them off, and where's the money, and so on and so forth, and this and that. So, but this is what Fat Joe was saying in reference to that.
I'm not coming defense to nobody, Fat Joe or Turf Squad or whatever, but it's platforms like this that's trying to help the artists out so they don't get jerked. And I feel like a lot of artists, they don't take their business seriously until something happens. You know what I'm saying? Like when
Exactly.
something go down, that's when they're like, oh man, what's this? What's going on? So I feel like I don't blame Fat Joe at all. I would blame myself for not getting my business right. Like,
Yeah.
Fat Joe is just a businessman,
Exactly.
He just doing what he has to do to make money. It's like Puffy. A lot of brothers don't like her because he be giving people these deals, but they don't know that they could negotiate. They could kind of like try to work something out with the guy. But yeah, man, good information. Now let's talk about this radar thing that you got going on, where you set up deals with labels, not deals, but the artist pays you a fee or producer, and you set up a one-on-one, like I won't say consultation, but listening session with the A&R. How does that work?
Well, we used to have something we did called the On the Radar Closed Door Showcase and Workshop. Now, what that was is that you perform in front of the A&R from the label of your choice in the closed door session in a professional recording studio throughout New York City.
Yeah.
But what we do now for a fee, if you want to meet with the A&R of a major label for consideration for a deal, we can set up those meetings. That's what we do.
Really? So does that guarantee a deal, or it's just basically like, you're just taking a chance? Like, how does that work?
Well, basically, once they're feeling your music, they're gonna take you underneath their wings. But the artist has to be a professional, as you know, making sure basically what they bring to the table when they know how to make their money and what they want. So the misconstruction that's happening, people think they're gonna get signed on the spot. That rarely happens. People they're not just signing artists on the spot. Once a label is really feeling you, that happens in meetings later when you have your entertainment lawyer and their lawyer, and they work out a deal for you. So it's all about what you bring to the table. When you go in there, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, you know what you're doing, they're going to respect you as a professional.
That sounds good. So what label? Yeah.
Not to say nothing. And they're going to let you know, basically, if there's anything you need to do in terms of marketing promotion, they'll let you know also.
Okay.
They'll let you know what you're doing right and what you might be doing wrong.
Got it. So how many artists would you say? You don't have to get like, like I guess personal, but like, what is the percentage that something happens good with the artist that you pay you guys for a meeting with this A&R? What is the percentage? Is it 50-50?
Well, basically, okay, say it again. I don't really understand the question.
No. What I was saying is that, let's say John Doe, right?
Yeah.
He pays you guys a certain amount of money,
right,
to meet with an A&R, right?
Yeah.
What is the percentage of past artists or that succeeded, got a deal, that are making a living? Like, what is the percentage? Like,
oh, it's like I could say like 75-80%, because we discovered artists.
I seen that. I seen that, by the way. Yeah.
Like Remy Martin, she got an Underground Music Award. Papoose got an Underground Music Award back in the days. Now these are their major stars. Joyner Lucas, there's a dude named Young Blue, even Fred the Godson and all that. We did the blog promotion for him back in the days and stuff like that. And different people like what was his name? French Montana. We consulted with him, my friend Jesse Atkinson, as far as come up with a moniker, the Coke Boys. Like Beyonce has the Beehive. So it's more like you got to have things laid out, what you bring to the table and your vision and all.
See, that's what I want to talk about, and that's what I like, the fact that you guys have a proven successful record. You understand? So if anybody's going to want to spend money, they're like, okay, you know what? We're spending money on this, but look at their track history. Look what they accomplished.
And look what we do for the artists. I mean, but it's all about how good the music is, really, you know.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about marketing. You mentioned before about blogging.
Right.
What else is very important? You also mentioned about an artist coming out with a single, right?
And promoting the singles first, right?
How long should an artist promote that single now?
Now I'm gonna drop a real jewel right here.
Mm-hmm.
The whole process and what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Take your time. We have like another hour to go, so.
Okay.
So all yours, brother.
I really appreciate this. Okay. Let me see. I just want to clear that up. Now this is really a science, you know. What I'm about to say right here. Like promotion should be done in stages. All right. So promo should go in stages. You want to build hype along the way. First, you know, you release the single to the blogs and the DJs. Next, you get people hyped for the video. First, you put out a teaser of the video or a teaser of the song. Then you set a date for the release of the full video. Next, you promote and build anticipation for the album's release. So if you're releasing a project in late August or September, you should start pushing the single now. Ideally, you should release 2 singles before the album drops if you want success. And radio promotion should be the second or third phase of your campaign because you have to build a single virally first, do the grassroots level before going to the radio. So that's the way you have to do it. You promote the singles first with the video. That will make people want to go get the album. Just like, okay, this is what major artists do. This is like let's use the Signer. When the Signer first came out, you thought that was Future, right? Right or wrong?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Okay. And then, they put out the video, right? But what other song has the Signer really had? He just had that one song, right? That you know him for, right? Okay. Now, if you put out a couple of singles first that's hitting, then that's going to make people want to go download the album because they figure if the singles is hot, then the album must be hot. Just like when Rihanna first started blowing up, she had that song, I'll Go Down Upon the DJ. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you talk about what about the DJ? Yeah. It's like that reggae crossover. DJ.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that song was all right. But when she really started to blow up is when she put out the songs like Pour It Up, The Sorry Ball Out, and all those songs and all. And then the song Unfaithful. First, the song she put out was Unfaithful. She's talking about your man is dealing with me. He's unfaithful or whatever. She was singing about that. Then it was Pour It Up. And it was like, I'm a rude boy. You're going to get it up. Take it, take it, take it. You know that song, right? And then it's a Shine Bright Like a Diamond and all that. Then she, and then she put out the song, what was that song? Umbrella. Then she did the remix with JC. Then she started blowing up and all that. And then she started making these platinum selling albums and so on and so forth. Right or wrong?
Facts. Yeah. So
you gotta promote the hot singles first. But a lot of artists is going out the gate and trying to get people to buy a whole album without promoting singles. Nobody even heard of you yet. Even though the content is good, nobody's gonna go buy a single that ain't no accessible. Because you ain't promote the single first.
Yeah, now let me just interject with you. So the issue that I notice a lot of artists, because I'm a producer, and they don't have money, bro. Or if they don't have enough money, what advice would you give the artist to get money? Like, I know it's a really crazy question, a very simple question, but this question means a lot. Like, what's the best advice you could give an artist to be able to afford all these outlets?
Well, I think the best way for an unsigned artist to make an impact in the music industry is to hire a marketing and a publishing company. That's the best thing that they could do. Hire, somebody like me or a company that got those connections to help them get that exposure. And, basically that's what I think is the best way to do it.
Yes.
And you see, you know, certain stuff we dealing with for the blog is only like $125 to $160, you know.
And how many blogs is that covered on?
Okay, we have a package right now. Billboard, Hip Hop, Urban Buzz Factor, and Pitchfork.com. It's only $160.
Okay.
We could get you featured on 12 major blogs for only $125. You can't beat that.
Nah, you can't beat that. So if somebody wanted, because a lot of people are tuned in right now, they want to know, like, how do they contact you? How do they get this information? How does it work? You have a website? You have like how does it work?
They could call me direct and I can set it up. You know, I'll give you my number. They could call me direct if they're serious and they feel they got that heat and they want to start generating a buzz and building a fan base to get national brand recognition.
National.
You know, once the music is there and it's hot, you got to start generating a buzz. You know, a buzz, it's like, oh yeah, yo, I heard that new joint. That joint is fire, man. Look out for this cat. It's about to blow. For example, you see like when Lil Wayne got locked up and he did he got like 5 Grammys. He was talking about Drake, right? Remember 2009? Before he did his like in a couple of months or what have you. Like, yeah, this is Drake. He brought Drake on the stage. Drake is about to blow and all. And then nobody even knew who Drake was. And when Lil Wayne was locked up, then that's when Drake would start being on all those hooks, stuff like that. Baby, you're my everything, and the singing, rapping dude. Then Drake is a household name now.
Yeah. But it seems like being in jail for hip hop artists is like I don't know. It's like a honor now. Either getting shot or being in jail.
Yeah, I mean,
what the hell is with that, man?
We living in another age, man. Now, man. You know?
Man. Mm-hmm. And
because yeah, they got rappers that getting killed now. You know?
Yeah, it's like getting shot, being in jail.
Right.
It's like that's the norm in hip hop, and it's like that's what industry executives are asking now. Because you know when they're doing a whole press release on you, whatever, press plan or whatever. They ask those questions. Have you been in jail? Have you ever did this? Have you ever did that?
Oh, I don't know. Like, because it all depends on the person. I mean, maybe they want to know that, but I didn't know that they actually asked that. You know that for a fact?
Of course. That's their job because it's to build hype. So what's going to build hype? Controversy.
Yeah, that's true. In some cases, right.
You know,
and this is even in the interviews. I know this is what they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
and they feed off that hype and stuff like that. Like what's this dude?
World. You talking about that Russian dude? What's his name? Vlad.
You talking about Vlad? No,
Vlad.
I wasn't talking about him. I'm talking about. It's a shame that the artists nowadays is caught up into that because you could get killed out here, man. These people, those street people don't care who you are.
Facts. Yeah.
You know, the wrong neighborhood, and they feel some kind of way. They'll take you out, man. You got to really be careful your environment now that you got money and all that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people is jealous and all that. No, you cross the wrong path, man. Things can happen and all that. So you got to be conscious of what's going on. What's that? The baby. A couple of weeks ago, he got in a shootout in Florida or what have you. He always getting in the shootouts and stuff like that. Man. He got to really be careful, man. With his entourage, somebody could take that dude out, man. And you see what happened to all these rappers and stuff like that, man. That's why I got out the game and stuff like that. I used to rap back in the days.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, me and my man. You know, I was nice. I thought I was gonna blow, but then my producer got killed. You know, I was
What?
Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah. I didn't know what happened.
No.
What the hell happened?
He had a studio in his house, and I was like, okay. He was, you know, we was young. We was like 18, 19, around that time. So he wasn't charging us like 20, 21, what have you, because he lived in our building. He had a, indoor studio, what have you, with like $10,000, $20,000 worth of equipment. And he was nice. You know what I'm saying? This was like 91, 92, around that time. Then I started seeing shady people coming up there. I don't want to mention no names that rob people, so on and so forth. And I told him, man, yo, be careful who you let up in here, man. Cats will get you and all. He was from Brooklyn. He was Haitian. And he didn't pay attention. And like about a month or two after that, they found him dead. I was coming to see my cousin and stuff like that, live in the same building, and he was on the floor with a bullet in his head, and the door was cracked, and my cousin's wife was frantic and so on and so forth. And I kind of got out, rap and focus on getting my life together. And then after that, that's when Tupac got killed, 96, and then Biggie got killed in 97. And I see ever since that, it's been a trend as far as these rappers getting killed. You really got to be careful, even with Nipsey Hussle, man. I mean, he was a good dude, but trust me, man, he was in that life, and people set him up, man. Trust me. You know what I'm saying?
And I want to add to that, because it seems like you got to, as a rapper, as an artist, even a producer, you got to be careful who you surround yourself with, because look at Pop Smoke, for another example.
Right.
The brother, God rest his soul, how he was taken out by some brothers that he used to hang with, and
see, I didn't know that he used to hang with them, because they was like 14, 15.
It don't matter, man. It was all over the news. And when they did the investigation, the police, they were saying that, I think two of the guys, they pretty much planned everything. That's the dangerous part, when they plan, and it's like you said, you got to be careful, bro. I mean, me being a producer, like, I never invite anybody to my house. Never, ever, 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 ever. We do work, business, it's always in the city or whatever. It's never in there. Nah, we do it professionally. And second, I make sure that I get referrals and there's cameras.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because, look at Jam Master Jay, like an example.
Right.
Good brother, but he's gone because of why? I heard that they came into the studio and they just, so it's just these things that's
but not to cut you off. That was all over a drug deal that went bad. He owed these people money and all, and they came for him and all. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Do the research. Unfortunately, that's what happened. But he was a good dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, now, but getting back to the business, explain to me more about copyrights. How does that work?
Okay.
Because I notice a lot of artists, they complain that they hear this stuff in the radio. Like, we're getting people saying that, and there's somebody else that owns it. How does that work?
Okay. Well, say that again. What artists are saying?
I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is this: like, a lot of artists are complaining about copyrights. That there's other people that made it big that actually is using their stuff, and they don't know about the copyright law, how it works. Can you briefly explain how that works with the copyrights and how what steps artists should take so he won't get jerked?
Okay, you got to go to copyright.gov, and online they're going to send you the appropriate forms. That's how that works, and you have to make sure your stuff is registered with the Library of Congress.
Library of Congress, facts. Okay.
Either the music or the beat, and you register that with you can go online and use the appropriate forms, and that's how that works.
Okay, so let's talk about producers now.
Right.
How does producers get paid? I mean, I'm pretty sure you dealt with a lot of producers as well. How do producers get paid? How does that work?
Well, producers, it all depends. Like, when they lease the beats, they could get paid. They could have a fee, and and they could be like, okay, for a certain fee, we gonna let you have this beat with exclusive rights, or we just let you use it, but it might be more money if you want to own the beat or what have you. Then some type of contract is done, and then they know that if they're the producer, then it's a 50-50 split between the songwriter and the producer. So that's how they make money. So they make money once that song is produced and it's placed on the radio, and they made the beat. That's how they make their money. Because they're the producer. That's how they make their money. And if they're signed to publishing deals, so on and so forth, that's how they get paid too. Now, a lot of producers have their own studios and the studio time and their engineers, and that's how they make money. How a producer gets paid.
Got it. Anything more important you would suggest an artist do about the business so he won't get jerked?
They have to do all the things that that I said, man, for us making, first of all, you write a song, you make sure it's registered with the Library of Congress. Okay, copyright. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to copyright your song to show proof of ownership, you know. And then you register with ASCAP, BMI, mainly. Get a sound exchange account. You know, that's all the ways you make your royalties. Or streaming or what have you, licensing, all of that. And then you have to get it out there, you know. And getting your stuff on the major blogs is a good way to generate a fan base and build a movement.
That's something that I really didn't focus too much on, the blogs and how important that is.
Right.
You know?
It didn't used to be important before, but now that we live in the digital age and music is being sold a whole another way now. It's not just, people don't really buy CDs and physical albums like they used to. Like the DJs, like Funk Flex, they still use records and stuff like that. But these artists are going platinum, which is 1 million copies. Double platinum and triple platinum is over 1 million. And gold and all that just by when people download your stuff on these different platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. And that's equivalent to record sales now, equivalent to gold, platinum, triple platinum, or what have you.
Let's talk about social media. Is there a way that artists can get paid from social media?
Is there a way that artists get paid from social media?
Like, for example, YouTube or Facebook? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, YouTube monetization, you know, they pay you from the views that you get. Okay. That's a good way that, you know, artists can make money now.
How about Facebook or Instagram? How does that work?
Well, Facebook or Instagram is good because, you know, nowadays you need social media engagement. So that is a very good way to connect with your real fans and stuff like that. Some of these artists be having like 5,000 friends, you know, and a lot of followers too, you know.
5,000 friends and only like 3 go to this show.
Yeah, exactly, right.
It happened to me, bro. Like, you know, but you know, it is what it is. You know, it happens. Right. You know. Now let's talk about more. You spoke about publishing, spoke about copyrights, spoke about split sheets, spoke about marketing, of course, spoke about what the artist team members get paid. Now let's talk about the attorney. How much should the attorney get paid? How can you find a good attorney?
Well, you have to hire an entertainment lawyer, so you just have to do your research for us, who's who. And you could Google an entertainment lawyer, and then you could call them, and they do a consultation, and they'll let you know about their fees and representing you in the terms of when you sign a contract, make sure everything is on the up and up. It's very important to do that because that's a lot of artists get ripped off because they don't know exactly what they're signing, you know.
And I understand a lot of artists they don't understand that they're missing out on money on getting paid. Like there's so many ways you could make some bread. Like, how can an artist make a living off of music now? This is the $1 million question I ask you. How can an artist make a living off of music comfortably without, you know, stress and stuff? What can they do?
How can an artist make an up and coming artist make a money or basically a living off of
his music? Yeah.
Of music. Okay, let me see. You know, once you have your fans and you have a direct link to your fan base and stuff like that, and you market and promote the right way, you can make a living. Once your stuff is copyrighted and you know the different media platforms for us, when you release your stuff on iTunes, a lot of people is on DistroKid and these different things, the package deals. That's how you make your money, you know? If you know the DJs, so on and so forth. But the main way, like I said, you can make a living, you know, is once you get signed to a deal, because they have those budgets. That's what you really should be trying to do, try to get a deal. Because they, like I said, the budget they put in their artists is anywhere between $500,000 to $2 million.
Hey, it's a
And
lot of money, bro.
I got the type of budget that they dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, break it down. Break it down.
Okay. Let's get that right quick. So, I tell up and coming artists what they want to do now is make a label want to invest in you.
Yeah.
By, just making sure you're a professional and you did your homework. But it's going to take a process to really generate your buzz and build your movement and all. Constantly putting music out there. Now, this is the exact numbers. You can do the math. So it says the budget that these labels are dealing with is anywhere between $500,000 to $2 million. You can do the math. The advance is anywhere between $50,000 to $350,000. That's the advance. When artists get in advance, but certain artists like Bobby Smurda and them, they advance for like $2 million. But a lot of these artists don't know if you get in advance, that money has to be recouped. Understand? Yeah. So be careful if you take that advance or not. Yeah. And if you blow it, then you don't make no money, then you might have to owe the record label. Understand?
Yeah.
And you under that contract, so you got to know what you're doing, really make your money and all. Okay, so it says the advance is anywhere between $50,000 to $350,000. Recording costs, they spend anywhere between $150,000 to $500,000. Video promotion costs is anywhere between $50,000 to $300,000. Tour support is anywhere between $50,000 to $150,000. Marketing promotion costs that they have is anywhere between $200,000 to $700,000. That's the type of budgets they work with their artists and stuff like that. When you see these artists, let's say like Michael Jackson, when he was producing his videos, those are top of the line, sci-fi type of videos. Listen, Remember the Time, all the videos used to put out. Just think about when you see movies like Fast and Furious, the special effects and all that, and these studios produce those movies. That budget, they have that type of budget for that. Versus, an up-and-coming artist might spend like $100, $500, maybe $1,000 on a video. Because I have a friend that he's in the business and he talked with the special effects and the props and all that. That costs money and all.
I want to say shout out to Edson Arzu, my cousin, big supporter. Okay. He was in the music business for a while too with his brother.
Yeah.
And he was doing stuff. I'm sure I'm still love. Give a shout out.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, so you got a lot of people, want to know more questions about the touring. Can you talk a brief about touring? How does that work and what's the process?
Well, all of this is mainly once you get signed to a deal to touring and so on and so forth. Yeah. Now, up and coming artists, if they know different promoters and stuff like that, they might be able to pay certain people to get on tour with them and all that. It all depends on. This is a business all about who you know.
Facts. That's facts. Yeah, it's all about who you know, man. And unfortunately, and that's the messed up thing about this whole thing. It's all about who could get you into that next door. And I'm hearing that with the whole radio station thing, where they could make you a star just on how many times you pay the money for your stuff to get played on the radio.
Say it again.
They could make you a star based on how many times you give them money for them to play your music on the radio. You understand? For example, you give like a payola thing. You give, for example, Flex like about, I don't know, $100,000, and he'll spend it like damn near the whole summer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my understanding is that these radio stations, they know what they're doing.
But see,
what do you think about that?
Now, how it works is those artists is already in the business. It costs about $50,000 or more to get your stuff on the playlist. This is why.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that? And that comes out of the budget for us marketing and promotion. Okay? Because the more that you hear a song, the more you want to like it, the more you want to buy it, the more you want to download. Like artists wasn't getting the radio airplay, but you like them. If they wasn't a household name, if they wasn't developing fans by, collaborating with all these artists all these years and stuff like that, you like who you like.
So let's talk about something. Are you into battle rap?
No, Not
Nah,
per se.
not really, right? Nah, you had to think a little bit. You pause, so
Yeah.
you had to think. The reason why I say battle rap because it seems like a lot of artists they go into battle rap, like Cassidy to I
Yeah.
hear Lloyd Banks to you know King Los to all these of course Cannabis and a
Oh
whole
yeah.
bunch of more. It's like that's quick money. They
Yeah,
can make it easy.
because
Yeah, they can make it easy 30, 40, 50 grand, whatever.
yeah,
Do you
easy.
think do you think more artists are gonna go to battle rap or you think it's because battle rap right now is big now, bro? Like Cassidy has done something that's like, okay,
Yeah.
what do you think about battle rap,
I
brother?
just seen something with Cassidy like last week. Yeah, Cassidy's nice. Because Cassidy used to be a battle rapper, actually, before they told him to start making songs and
Hmm.
with choruses and all. That's what the element he came out.
Yeah. So do you think a lot of these big artists are gonna go right back to gonna like go to battle rap? Because I know um Drake, I heard he invested in some battle rap leagues. I believe it was URL with the whole caffeine thing. Do you think more artists are gonna get involved with that? Or because that's a quick way to make some cash, man. Look at Joe Buttons. You know he got his ass whipped, but what do you think about that?
Oh, well, I didn't really know too much about Joe Budden for us with the
Yeah,
battle rapper. Tell me
yeah.
more about that.
He was bound as one guy by the name of Hollow the Don. I'm deep into battle rap.
What's his name?
Hollow the Don.
Okay.
And Hollow the Don kind of just whipped his ass on, you know. But what I'm trying to say is that battle rap, it's growing. Like it's getting bigger and what is actually bigger, bigger, and bigger. And a lot of these artists, being that they're not really touring like that yet, they throwing themselves into that. Like, you know, and I'm thinking like, you think the more these artists are gonna dip into that
Yeah,
to
it
that
might be something more of the future. Like the
yeah.
battle rap might become like a versus in a minute.
That's
I
true.
wouldn't be surprised. Like another year or two, really, it might be something and all.
All right. Edson Arsu says, my cousin said, battle rap is not for every artist. And some artists started out as battle rappers. Facts. That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Like you said, Cassidy, you know, and he's right. A lot of these, some artists, they're not into like battle rap. You know, they'll get slaughtered.
Yeah, because there's a lot of these
They
underground
got
cats got some real bars, man.
they nasty, bad. I'm with them almost all the time. And I'm like, these guys, but what it is that them battle rappers, I don't know if they can make songs correctly though, other than of course Cassidy and all these other rappers. But I think Cassidy said something about that. He said like, "Yo, man, a lot of these battle rappers they don't really perform well, like just doing a song,
Right.
opposed because you know battle rap is a different monster, a different
Yeah.
preparation, different energy. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I personally love battle rap, like I follow it all the time. So all right, now we're almost gonna be done soon because I know you probably have things to do and myself. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to dealing with these artists, right? What do you think is the biggest issue that music business executives have to deal with? Because, like I said, you deal with submitting music to these you know these companies, like for example, Rock Nation. What do you think is the biggest problem that you see that's going on? Of course, other than the money.
Um. Okay. Ask your question again. I don't really
But,
understand your question.
no, what I'm saying is this: like, you deal with a whole bunch of artists all the time, correct?
Right.
What do you think is the biggest issue that you have to deal with artists coming up?
Well, they don't be consistent, man.
All
You
right, there
know,
you go. Consistency. Okay, cool.
consistency. They looking to blow up overnight, and you really got to be consistent. And if you meet with these A&Rs, they tell you, okay, they need to see more of a digital presence and get featured on these blogs, so on and so forth. Do what they tell you to do, man.
That's true. You're right.
Because
Let's move
they
on.
know you might need to generate more of a buzz and build more of a fan base and all.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might need some different type of content. It all depends, man. Excuse
Mm-hmm.
me. They know what sells, you know what I'm saying?
That's true. But
But
now, yeah. Mm-hmm.
don't sacrifice your soul, man. Stick to your guns as far as what you bring into the table. Don't let a record company change you and all that. And you
Mm-hmm.
putting out exactly what they want you to put out. I mean, you really got to keep your creative control and all. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. I noticed that a lot of artists, they do that. They sell their soul. They do all this crazy shit where they, I don't want to get too much deep into that whole conspiracy thing, but they do that a lot. And they even admit that they do it. But a lot of these fucking rappers, they're not, even producers, they're not happy.
Yeah.
They're literally miserable, and it seems like, they're content with being like that. It's like the money is like it's like a god for them. It's like everything, and it's unfortunate that's
Yeah.
happening, So,
See, I mean, what people got to do, they got to create their own businesses, man. They got to know.
facts, yeah.
They got to be more like a JC, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? You create your own businesses and your clothing lines and your own merchandise and your own hats, T-shirts, sneakers, your own stuff, like more like a Master P, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't leave everything up to the record label and all that, Maybe you get your own label, get your own publishing company, get your own production company, get your own LLC or what have you. I mean, a lot of these cats, not to say, out the gate, they already got their own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like DJ Khaled, We the Best Music and all these different cats like Timbaland, they got their own production company and they signed to these labels. So they signed them to a publishing deal. So they paying them because they know they hot. They got the connections. They got that heat and all. So they get paid for that. You know what I'm saying? Out the gate.
But it seems now a lot of these independent artists don't need labels, bro. They're making a, like, for example, Young M.A. She's not signed to a label. I heard she's making a good living. There's a lot of them that they don't even need the labels. Like the labels just pretty much coming to them trying to like negotiate with them.
Exactly.
So
because they could get the shows, whatever. Yeah,
pretty much. So
now, so that shows you the potential of what independent artists could really do nowadays. You can make it on your own terms. You really don't need a label. Only thing is good about signing a deal with a label, they have those budgets and all that. You know what I'm saying? So you could be an up and coming artist, and your budget might be limited, unless you have your own independent label and you know about publishing. You know how to get your music to the masses directly. You can really go viral because we live in a digital age now. So social media, all these different platforms, it's easier to do things now versus before when you just had to sell CDs and records and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying?
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm noticing more that a lot of artists, they owning their masters too. Like they're not really giving that up no more. It's like artists are really, they're doing their thing, which is a blessing
nowadays.
So before we wrap everything up, I know we said 5, but you covered a lot of stuff, and I want to thank you for being on the show. And
thank you for having me.
Any final thoughts? Anything you want to end it with as far as like the business, like anything you want to?
I mean, I just want to tell people to be smart as far as making sure you do your homework and you know what you're doing and what you're trying to get out of the business and stuff like that. That's know what you're doing. That's all I'm saying. Know like all the stuff I talked about, publishing, making sure your stuff is copyrighted, making sure it's registered with the different performance rights organizations. Just know what you're doing and know your value. And, I'm going to continue to teach artists the business and showing you how to generate a buzz, how to build a fan base and stuff like that. That's real important. So basically, you have to know the business. You have to know what you're doing and set goals and have plans on how you're going to make it. And this business is all about who you know, man. Your network is your net worth.
Facts. So I will be giving you a call probably like another week or two to set up my meeting with one of these labels. I'm looking forward to that. I'm just getting myself ready, because I got so much music, but I want to, like you said, I want to be able to pinpoint the label that I obviously want to go to. And with me, I'm just looking for more work. I need more work. I would love to work with some major artists, like
more placements. That's all.
Definitely placements, not only with artists, but also for movies and film.
Exactly. So, I'm going to be talking more about that, man, the different revenue streams and how licensing and all that breakdown.
So break that down a little bit about music licensing and dealing with movies and film and video games. Let's talk about that, because it seems like there's an open avenue for that.
Right,
But
right,
a lot
right.
of art. Explain that to me. How does that
Okay.
work? Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just break that down.
Mm-hmm.
Just bear with me. Now that's very important because a lot of times these companies, when somebody you want to get your stuff in a commercial or video game, actually you can submit your stuff to these people, and if they feeling you, you can get on like that too. So
What?
a lot.
Yeah. You have any links or?
Not off the bat,
Okay.
but maybe if we do something else in the
Yeah.
future, I'll have all that information for you.
Okay.
But I just want to drop this quick jewel.
Okay.
And it's all about knowing the terms, man, as far as how you
Mm-hmm.
make the money. That's the main thing, how you make the money.
Mm-hmm.
The revenue streams is how you make the money in the music industry and all that. But let me see if I can find that information right quick. Bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay. Here we go. All right. Now, this is just different ways you can make money in the music industry. You have to know. Licensing, okay? That's what Quincy Jones, how he's making money off of Sanford and Son. Okay, licensing. So you have to know the different terminology. Okay, licensing. So if you get your song placed in a film, commercial, or TV show, chances are they're going to pay you a sync licensing fee. So that's what it's called, a sync licensing fee. These fees depending on the budget for the project and how badly they want your song. Digital royalties, you need to notice. So a lot of even independent artists, I see their stuff is on Pandora. So whenever your music is played on services like Sirius XM Radio, Pandora, and webcasters, so a lot of these artists on Pandora, they have their own channel. Whenever your music is played on services like Sirius XM Radio, Pandora, and webcasters. So a lot of these artists on Pandora, they have a little feedback.
Okay, I'm sorry. You hear it now? You don't hear it now? Okay, good. My bad.
So digital royalties, whenever your music is played on services like Sirius, XM Radio, Pandora, and webcasters, they must pay you royalties. So you should sign up. For how you get paid off those royalties when you sign up for a free sound exchange account. So you just go to soundexchange.com and you can sign up for a free sound exchange account to make sure you get those royalties. Publishing royalties. You should be signed up to performance rights organizations. That's what I was talking about. Okay, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. So you can collect royalties on radio. See? It said you collect royalties on your music, including public performance royalties, radio, TV, live venues, mechanical royalties through sales through retailers, streaming, okay, and sync royalties, commercials, film, etc. Okay, so that's how you make money, period, in the music industry. Digital royalties, licensing, and publishing royalties.
Okay,
so
definitely
a
sounds
lot of times you can just submit your music to these different companies, and certain people who got, like, like me and other people, stuff like that got the access to these people that to connect you and all that, and need, your placement for a movie or what have you and all that, or a soundtrack or a commercial. It's all about, man. Your network is your network. I always want to say this one jewel. Many things get accomplished in the music industry based on the relationships you develop. And if you don't have many business relationships, then normally you have to pay somebody to connect you. So when you pay publicists for their services, you are paying for the connections they have with numerous media outlets. A person like me, the company I work with, we have these connections. We have the people that can plug you in. The people that's looking for stuff like this. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's yeah.
And it's different companies also. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's the most important thing, paying for those connections. And you're right, brother.
But if you don't have them,
if you don't have it, pay for it. That's
exactly.
it.
And that's how you're definitely gonna get it done. That's how you're going to get exactly what you want and what you need when you pay for it versus trying to get lucky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I learned, like pay for it, you know. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, basically, I said what I had to say. You know, artists got to just keep grinding and investing in the marketing and promotion to generate your buzz, build your fan base that's going to give you leverage and all. When you meet with these people and they see your numbers, and it's not even more about the numbers, it's about what you know your value. You a songwriter, you a hot producer. It's about knowing your value and your worth and all that. It's all mentally. You know, that's why God said, just leave it at that. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is
he. Amen to that.
JC said, I told you, like back in the days, let's say 1996, it was a promoter that used to promote for JC and these different labels named Johans. This is back in the days when they had VCR tapes and all that, VHS tapes. And I was looking at the video he had. I think it was on Rockefeller or it was on Payday. I don't know. I think it was on Rockefeller. When he came up with that first song, in this lifetime, I need a whole lot of cash. I need a whole lot of stash. And he was on, he got that concept when he was on the boat from the Vapors video. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, JC used to do shows back in the days when he was younger with Big Daddy Kane, because they both from Brooklyn. And he used to open up for him. Now, he manifests that, man. Meaning in his lifetime, he need a whole lot of cash. I need a whole lot of stash. So it's all your confidence of who you are and what you bring to the world, man. And your belief in yourself that you're going to make it and then you're going to be a millionaire. You got to envision it first and all. You got to envision being successful first and all that. Then you're going to materialize it based on your actions and all. And then the other thing he said, okay, he said, put me anywhere on God's green earth, now triple my worth. Now, starting from where he is at back then, to like being a boss and all these businesses being worth over $1 billion, that's how it is, man. You got to manifest that. You got to materialize that based on what you think about yourself, I believe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I salute that, brother. Nothing but hard work and dedication. Of course, you hear a lot of
the right connections with the right people.
Yeah. I mean, you hear a lot of conspiracy about the guy, but you know, at the end of the day, he's successful. That's what that matters.
Exactly.
You know, how he got there, that's his business. You know, my thing is to, my brother Derrick, I guess we're going to wrap it up. Thank you again for your time. Anyway, how can they reach you? If you want to know how to reach you.
Well, if anybody's serious, you can always call me at 1-646-470-1549. You can reach me directly. And if you want to email me music, you can email me at derrickchambers9@gmail.com, and we can take it from there. Okay,
like I said, my brother, thank you for all these jewels. And
thank you.
You really just opened the doors for brothers and sisters to know about this business, because at the end of the day, you know, you got to know what you're doing. And by you giving this information is definitely a good thing, my brother.
Yeah, so we'll continue to keep dropping these jewels on everything I do.
All right. Thank you. So I'll be calling you in a couple of weeks, man, for my meeting then, right? So.
All right then, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Anytime, brother. Cool.
All right.
Peace.
Later.